My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake. Good morning and welcome. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Man, it is so good to be here today. I just want to say I'm really grateful for the guests we have and what we're doing. First, I want to remind you, like, love, and share. You know, nothing happens without the eyes on the show. So for those of you who wait for us and tune in always, I really appreciate you. Today on the show, we are going to talk about Women's Health and Fitness Day. We're going to talk a little bit about our rights. How important are they? What are they? We're going to talk about, we're going to have a cup of Joe. We're going to look into perspective a little bit. And finally, Alan Hayes, the Lake County Supervisor of Elections, joins us today and is going to help us talk about elections, his job, how he got to where he is, and why it's an important role and why that vote is so important. And we're going to hear from our sponsors, who I love very much. As you can tell, we do have our premium sponsorship spots still available. So if you want to sponsor, reach out to me, you know how. And other than that, we're going to hear from our current sponsors. And I tell you, I love them. Pay attention. They know what they're talking about. See you in a minute.
Welcome to Erica's Tea Room. Located in the heart of downtown Clearmont, this specialty tea shop offers a traditional high tea experience that can be enjoyed with family and friends. While here, you can choose from over 100 teas from all over the world, and a multitude of teapots are available for purchase. Join us for lunch or choose from one of our special evening events. Call to make a reservation. Erica's Tea Room, making memories with every cup.
Purchasing a home? Hi, I'm Mary Rhodes with the Mortgage Firm, your local direct lender for FHA, VA, conventional, and USDA mortgages. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or looking to purchase a vacation home, we can help. Visit our website today for more information.
Wow, great to hear from the sponsors. I want to remind you once again that Mary Rhodes will be joining us tomorrow here on the show. So you get to see the woman and the organization that really kind of made that ad happen and why the mortgage firm is so important and so professional and so good at what they do. So anyways, thanks for that. All right, Women's Health and Fitness Day. You know, next month is Breast Cancer Awareness Day, and you may or may not, or month, you may or may not know, but it is also the month of October is the national month of several illnesses and diseases and several types of cancer, most of them affecting women. And today is National Women's Health and Fitness Day. And so the thing I'd like to ask you is to, if you are a woman, get ready for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's there for a reason. Set your appointment now because I understand during October, because it's in everybody's awareness, it's in everybody's mind, it's hard to get appointments, it's hard to be seen, it's hard to take part in some of these organizations. And if you're a man, don't kid yourself. Breast cancer affects a lot of us too. Now, we're going to talk about this some during the show. I am not inundated with guests for breast cancer awareness, but we do have some. We have some great stories coming up. The thing that's important is to support the women in your life to be healthy. Because in reality, men, our life expectancy is a little less than women. But the truth is, women's health insurance is generally more expensive because they're sick more often. So support the ladies in your life. Ladies, get out there, see a doctor, make sure you are healthy, and fitness is a part of that, and we'll talk about that on a sports day. Rights. You know, I really got to thinking as I prepared for Alan Hayes to come, as he is the supervisor of elections, and he is well, I would say lifelong, but he has been serving the state of Florida and Lake County in an elected capacity for a very long time. And, he's been a valued member of the community. He became supervisor of elections. I just got thinking about the rights. Do you understand what a right means? Do you understand that a right can't be taken away from you unless you do something to have it taken away? Our Constitution guarantees us certain inalienable rights. This means that they come from the fact that we exist as thinking, breathing, sentient human beings. Now, I would say that they flow from God, and while I don't want to offend those of you who don't believe that, they flow from something. If you want a right, you have to take care of it. You have to preserve it. And I got to tell you, with the rights that we have, somebody ponied up and paid for those. Freedom ain't free, and neither are rights. The right to vote is one of the most inalienable things that we have in this country. It is one of the things that makes us the most unique social experiment in the history of mankind. Think about that. In the history of mankind. Nowhere else in the world today can you walk into a voting booth without anybody looking over your shoulder or taking pictures of you as you walk in and determine what your vote is. Nobody looks at your ballot until it's in the box. Nobody knows who you voted for, and unless you tell them, that's protected. That's a right that's worth having. Now, we have other rights, and on this show, we will probably talk about them at some point in time. But today, I'd like to ask you to think a little bit about your rights, which leads me into today's Cup of Joe. It's so often easy to feel sorry for ourselves. When our life isn't going well, it isn't going the way we want, maybe things aren't happening fast enough. But again, like those rights, it's all about perspective, isn't it? Do you know, I have coffee here. This morning, I got up, half asleep in my air-conditioned home. I went to the restroom, did my business. When I was done, I flushed the toilet. I turned on water and washed my hands. I walked into the kitchen, turned on a faucet, filled a coffee pot, pulled coffee out of my container, looked in the container to see if I had enough, and then checked my cupboard for the 2 pounds standby that I have. When the coffee was finished making, I poured a cup. I reached into my refrigerator, which keeps all of my food cold, pulled out the French vanilla creamer, sugar-free, that I love so much, reached into another pot and pulled out a couple of sweeteners, because there's a variety and I have the kind that I like. Also, I could have a cup of coffee. As I was doing this, as I was taking that first sip this morning, and it wasn't happening fast enough. My coffee pot's slow. It takes probably 4-5 minutes to brew an entire pot. And I started to get grumpy. As I started to sip that first sip that I love so much, it occurred to me, there are people that don't have coffee. There are people that don't have soap to wash their hands with, that don't have a toilet to flush, that don't have water coming out of a tap in their very own home, clean and healthy. They don't have air conditioning, whether it's cold enough or not. They don't have nice blankets to pull up in, a solid house to live in, another person in their life. I was swept as I drank that cup of coffee with an overwhelming sense of gratitude. I was literally almost in tears over my cup of coffee. And it's all because I was hit with a sense of perspective. I want to encourage you today that the next time you get upset at something you hear in the news, or you get upset at something that happens on the road, or some coworker does something that makes you grumpy, sit back for a second and take stock and realize all those things that are making you upset, most people in the world don't have the things that create the conditions that made you upset. And with that said, I want to say we're going to come back. We have to go to listen to our sponsors. Great people. You know I love them so much. Special place in my heart for them. When we come back, we'll have Alan Hayes with us, Lake County Supervisor of Elections. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a great interview. And we'll be back in just a minute. See you then.
Hello, I'm Mary Rhodes with the mortgage firm, your local mortgage lender. I've helped thousands of families achieve the dream of homeownership in Lake County, and I would love to help you. Our team has over 30 years of experience helping first-time homebuyers, veterans, move-up buyers, seasoned investors, and more. Please read our reviews and visit us at mortgagefirmpros.com.
Welcome to Erica's Tea Room. Located in the heart of downtown Clearmont, this specialty tea shop offers a traditional high tea experience that can be enjoyed with family and friends. While here, you can choose from over 100 teas from all over the world, and a multitude of teapots are available for purchase. Join us for lunch or choose from one of our special evening events. Call to make a reservation. Erica's Tea Room, making memories with every cup.
Saturday night, October 5th, Claremont, Florida, get ready as Local Pro Wrestling presents Fight Fest, featuring 6 hard-hitting matches, including the Technical Alchemist, David Mercury, against Aaron Epic. In the semi-main event, a 20-man over-the-top rope battle royal, and former TNA superstar Mr. 630 Jarrell Clark. And the main event for the evening, former WWF WCW superstar, the Cuban Assassin, takes on the marquee Bruce Santee. Adult tickets are $15 and children ages 5 to 12 are only $10. Tickets are available now on Eventbrite. For more details, follow us on Facebook at Local Pro Wrestling or visit localprowrestling.com. Come support Local Pro Wrestling live.
Purchasing a home? Hi, I'm Mary Rhodes with the mortgage firm, your local direct lender for FHA, VA, conventional, and USDA mortgages. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or looking to purchase a vacation home, we can help. Visit our website today for more information.
Welcome back. Hey, always good to hear from our sponsors. Don't forget, we still have premium sponsorship spots available. Just reach out to me. You know the information. I want to say welcome to Alan Hayes. I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Joe. It's great to be here.
He's joined us here. Alan is the Lake County Supervisor of Elections. Alan served 6 years in the House of Representatives as well as 6 years in the Senate following his term at the House of Representatives. He didn't do them at the same time, right? Now, something else that's really neat about Alan that I just discovered in the pre-interview, he has been a dentist for 43 years. He's a well-known dentist in Lake County. What I didn't realize is that even during his time as an elected official, he takes part in something called the Mission of Mercy. It's a dental clinic that is put on by the Florida Dental Association. Sure. And what he basically does is he takes some of his time, some of his off time, he's very busy, but he spends days of his time actually treating people who can't afford dentistry and would otherwise have to go without. And I think that speaks an awful lot to an elected official. You know, my mom worked for senators and congressmen back in New Hampshire a million years ago, and I didn't see that kind of giving out of a lot of elected officials in those days.
Not too many of them were dentists, either.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the good side. So basically, and we could talk about a bunch of things with Alan. I mean, we could do a 3-hour interview here, but we don't have that time. So I want to focus on what he does. what got you into politics in the beginning? You know, you and I did talk, and you told that great story about your first campaign, and I was just so taken with that whole vibe. Can you tell us a tiny bit about that? What drew you in?
Well, it was simply a request by then Representative Kerry Baker, who was going to be leaving the House running for the Senate, asked me to serve on his steering committee for his Senate campaign. I said, Kerry, I don't know anything about politics. He said, yeah, but you know a lot of people. So I went to the first meeting of that committee, and there several people approached me and asked me to run for that House seat. And I said, guys, there's no way I'd ever be elected. I said, I'm very opinionated. I'm quite blunt. I'm politically incorrect. I'm not going to change. They said, all those reasons are why we want you to run. So I went home and told my wife, I said, you're not going to believe what these people were saying. I told her about it. She said, well, why not? I said, are you crazy? Anyhow, we ran. We were successful. I truly believe that it needs to be about issues. And we made our final decision on a Saturday that we were going to run. So Sunday I picked up the phone and called each of the 4 people that were already in that race. And I said, I want you to hear it straight from me that I am running. You don't hear it through the rumor mill. And I am running. I'm only going to run on issues. I'm not going to do any negative campaigning. And if you go negative on me, I'm not even going to dignify it with a response. And we had a very clean campaign that focused on the issues. And we didn't get into personalities at all. We didn't get into the what I consider the garbage that you see so many times today. It was an uplifting experience, and fortunately, I won.
Do you think that's part of the reason you were able to accomplish so much? And you and I talked a little bit about all the things you accomplished. We don't have time to go into here. No. Do you think that's one of the reasons you were able to accomplish so much, though? Is that kind of an attitude?
Oh, sure, because I earned the respect of my colleagues there in the legislature as being a policy-focused person instead of a politics-focused person. And I believe, and I've said so many times before, if one wants to be effective in the political arena, they need to embrace the principle of compromise without compromising their principles. And that's the way I operated the entire 12 years that I served there.
I love that. Somebody needs to write that down for me. That's worth. I'm like stealing that somewhere along the line.
Certainly can.
You know, obviously the voters of Lake County love you. We've elected you several times on things, and your most recent election was the Supervisor of Elections. Sure. Why that role? Why didn't you go for another hit in the Senate or go for something else in the area? Well,
I could have only served 2 more years in the Senate anyhow, because term limits here in Florida. That's another subject we can talk about at length. And I wasn't ready to hang it up. My wife said, listen, I married you for better or worse, but not for lunch, so make sure you got something to do. But literally, I saw this. And, you know, to me, the bedrock of our democracy is our elections process. And the previous supervisor had been there for 44 years, was retiring, and I felt like we needed to have someone with executive administrative experience to take over that position. Decided to offer my services to the voters of Lake County, and they honored me by choosing me to be their supervisor. And we've had a great run. We've done many different things to modernize the office. I've got a great team of people that I get to go to work with every day. It is literally fun to work with them, and to see them strive for excellence as a team and as individuals. It's just really, really, the people of Lake County are abundantly blessed to have that group working for them.
It's so refreshing to hear a politician, I mean, because at its base, you're a politician, but to hear an elected official and a politician speak that way. Because so many of them...
It's the truth, though, Joe.
But I know, but so many of them, you know, when you talk about other people, there's a light in your eyes. And I'm sure that's why you were a good representative and you were a good senator. You know, you talk about elections. I was in the Marine Corps a million years ago. And even then, as a young man, when I was still figuring out why I was doing things, there's just something about when I saw other countries and the countries I was called upon to go into, you know, I had a great appreciation for the fact that I get to vote.
Yes.
You know, I can remember an experience seeing somebody in a country where they were guarding the polling place with machine guns. But it was the party in power
Sure.
that was guarding, you
Yeah.
know, and I could imagine what would I feel like,
Yeah.
you know, and we change power
That's right.
without violence,
Yes.
peacefully. And so to this day, I mean, if you know me, you probably know which side of the aisle I lean
yeah.
towards, but I have never told people a vote I've cast in the voting booth.
It's nobody else's
Never.
business.
You know, it isn't. It isn't. Let me ask you this. What is the role of supervisor of elections, and why is it important?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the bedrock of the whole government is our elections process, so that in itself is why it's important. My role as the election supervisor is to make sure that the myriad of moving parts come together in a symphonic manner on election day. We have to prepare countless pieces of equipment to go into all the different precincts, and beginning, of course, with early voting, and even prior to early voting, we have our vote by mail process. Last Friday, we mailed the initial group of ballots to all the people that are going to be voting by mail in the municipal elections in November. We do that every day of the week. We mail out new requests that have come in for the vote by mail ballots. We then, now in the city elections, we won't be having early voting this year, but next March in the presidential preference primary, again in August in the primary, and in November, of course, those 3 elections, we will have early voting. It's our job to make sure that all the equipment is there, all of the election workers are properly trained, and that we have exceptional backup for those people on election day there at this home office. We've got to have staff there that can answer questions that may come up from the citizens that call and say, where do I go vote? And we have other people that come in from time to time. The election workers themselves may call and say, we have a voter here who has a question. Why can't they vote at this place instead of that place? Why is it? I mean, just any number of questions. But I feel like an orchestra conductor. I've got to make sure that all the different sections are coming together and we get good music on election day.
What do you think is the biggest challenge that we as a county face and you as a supervisor face? Is it the same challenge as far as it goes towards elections?
Well, I don't know that we can separate the challenges, but from my perspective, we know Lake County is growing and that growth is going to continue. So as the supervisor, I need to make sure that my team and I are prepared and have executed the plan so that we don't get behind the curve, so to speak. We want to make sure that we keep pace with that growth by designing new precincts if we need to. Our state association is asking the legislature this year to give us authorization to move to what we call super voting sites. The easiest way to explain that is it's an early voting site that continues right on through election day. And rather than having the different precincts all across the county right now, we have 97 different locations of voting. And rather than doing that, we may have, 20, 25 locations for voting, but they would be, for that 2-week period prior to the election. We need to do whatever we need to do to make sure we're responsive to the needs of the people. That's our goal.
Now, I have to say that one of the things I've always been impressed about voting as a voter here is being from up north. You show up on election day, you got to take out 3 hours. It's like, you're in line, you're waiting, and down here it has never been like that.
No.
And if you're slick enough to pick the right time, you like literally breeze in, breeze out.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that the 3 methods of voting: the vote by mail ballot, the early voting, and then election day. We wind up probably 70% or maybe 73% of the people who vote in a given election do so before election day. So that only leaves us with 27, 28% of the people to vote on election day, and that makes it pretty easy.
I guess that makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, it sure does. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You had talked about the team that you have and the great things you can. What do you think are the most effective or the most important changes that you have made, or any improvements you've made in your time?
Well, probably the most significant that people notice is the electronic poll books. And that was done for 2 things. It was done for security. It was also done for convenience. Previously, when you go in, you had to the election workers thumb down through this thick notebook with everybody's name on it, and you signed the paper and all that. Well, now you come in, you show your photo ID, or you have to show your photo ID, and if it's a driver's license, they can scan the license, but we can just look you up by your date of birth. You give us your date of birth, we type that in, and then we choose your name, etc., and they verify your signature, and bingo, you get your ballot and you vote. We did that. We've also done for early voting, rather than having each early voting site stocked with ballots for every precinct in the county, we have a ballot on demand system now, so that all we have to furnish is blank paper. And when the voter comes in, they may be voting here in Claremont, but they may live in Leesburg. And so we just put their name in, and the machine automatically comes up with the ballot style that they need. The worker pushes the button, and the printer right here next door to them prints out the ballot that is appropriate for Leesburg. They go over here and vote it and put it into the scanner, and everything works out just fine.
That actually brings up a great subject, because I know somebody that has recently moved, and they haven't changed the address on their license yet, and they were telling me, they don't know if they have time to change it because they don't want to have to go back up to Leesburg. I think Lady Lake, they don't have to go back up to Lady Lake to vote.
No.
Is that necessary? I mean, yeah, they have to change the... Full disclosure, you must adhere to the laws. You need to change the address on your license.
Right.
But that's not going to affect them when it comes to voting?
Yes, it definitely will, because they need to vote here in Claremont where they reside now, or Mineola, whatever.
In spite of what
it
their
is.
license is.
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. So, and that's why it's important. We spend a lot of time and make a lot of effort encouraging people to keep their information in my office current, whether it's change of signature, change of names, change of address, all these types of things. Many times, particularly as the senior adults age, their signature changes. They need to make sure that they get.
Never occurred to me.
And that's one of the things.
We have up on the screen right now a flyer that your office put out. Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yes, we're talking there. We're going to have a voter registration drive at Claremont City Hall on September the 30th. That's this coming Monday from 9:30 to 12:30. And you're welcome to come by. If you haven't registered yet, we can register you there. You can update your record, whether it be change name, change address, change party, anything like that. Update your signature. You can check your voter status. You can request your vote by mail. Then we're going to be at Montverde City Hall on October 3rd. You can do all those same services there. We'll be at City Hall in Montverde from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And we have been moving to the different libraries. Just yesterday we were in Groveland, and this has been, we've partnered with our library system, and we've had ballots and books for the entire month of September.
That's a great idea.
Yesterday was National Voter Registration Day. All of this is information you can find on our website. It's lakevotes.com. Make sure you put the S on votes, but lakevotes.com is our website, and you can navigate there and find all the applications.
And I think our producer just put that website up on the bottom of the screen, so the folks got a chance to see that.
Yeah. Now, it's important, exceptionally important to remember, if you're not yet registered, you must register no later than October 7th if you want to vote in the city elections.
Do you have to register for every election?
No. Once you register, if you continue to vote, as we try to encourage everybody to vote in every election, your registration stays current, the whole time.
Unless you have a change.
Right. It's important that you notify us of any changes. But now, if you don't vote for 6 years, then and you don't respond to our queries as to is your address still up and this and that and the other, it's what we call our list maintenance program, which is rather involved, and we don't have time today to talk about it. But we do remove those people and put them in inactive status if they don't vote, after that fourth election.
I wanted to ask you, because this comes up. It wasn't in the list of questions, so I just wanted to warn you. In the news a lot is the whole who gets to vote? Can illegal immigrants vote? Can non-citizens vote if they're if they're naturalized? I mean, What is the rule? How do you guys protect against that? It's because you said driver's license. So I think there's a myth out there that if you have a driver's license, it doesn't matter who you are, you can vote.
No, that is a myth. If it's out there like that, the driver's license offices all around the state. David Jordan's office here in Lake County is our tax collector. That's where you get your driver's license. David's office gathers the data. There is a section on that application for your voter information. They then send it into the statewide database, and they then do the background check to make sure that the citizenship is American, and send us then the names and the other information. We put it into it. If you're not a U.S. citizen, then you're certainly not supposed to be registered and not supposed to vote.
I didn't mean to go sideways on you, but somebody literally asked me that question last night when I told them you were coming, and I was like, I'd never even thought of that. But it will come up in the news. We've got a presidential election coming up in a year, and I know we're going to hear a lot about it.
And I think the safest thing to say is we do everything we can to minimize any type of illicit registration. And when we find one, we take very quick action. You bet your boots. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: and this question I have to honestly admit, my wife thought it up. You know, and I thought it was so cool.
It's probably a good one. Then.
It is. What is the most important thing you've learned since being elected as the supervisor?
The most important thing that I have learned,
or the most striking thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be important.
Well, the most striking, biggest surprise I've had, if put it that way, is the amount of money that we spend on postage. It is amazing the number of mail pieces that we send out. And I've contacted Congressman Webster and some of the other congressional people that I've had the privilege of knowing, and saying, if you guys really wanted to do something great for the world of elections, you would give us franking privileges for the ballots themselves.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Just to send the ballots out and let the ballots come back. Now, here in Lake County...
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Starting next year at the presidential preference primary, all the vote-by-mail ballots that go out will have included a postage-paid return envelope, so that the voter does not have to put postage on it to send it back to us.
Now, explain what franking is I know because my mom was in the government, but explain what that
franking is the privilege that the congressional people give themselves. It means that they can mail something without having to put a postage stamp on it. The U.S. Postal Service delivers it free of charge.
Generally, you may have seen, if you get something from a federal senator or a federal representative, you'll see where the stamp goes, a stamp of their signature.
Yeah.
That has a long history back to the 1800s. It's literally the frank. It may even be named after somebody. How to do that as one of three things. What's the history of franking? This has been really, really great. I really appreciate you coming by. I know you're terribly busy, especially this time of year. I'm going to ask you one last question. Okay. We're running out of time, so we got to make it quick. You obviously get busier the closer an election comes, but you ain't Santa Claus. It's not like you get the day after the election over.
Oh, no.
When do things slow down for you in your office?
That too has been a real revelation. We are working continually. And that's the focus during election season is one of the reasons it's imperative to plan all along so that we don't find ourselves at the end under a tremendous amount of pressure. Last year, before the gubernatorial election there in November, I told my team, I said, guys, this is my first really big election. And I said, I don't know. Am I just blissfully ignorant, or are we that well prepared? Because I don't feel the pressure that I expected. And they said, we're that well prepared, because they didn't feel the pressure either. And so, yes, we do have that intense time, and you can feel it building there in the office sometimes. But there again, it was so refreshing in spite of the intensity of it. Not one time did I ever hear one of my employees getting short with another person, whether it be a fellow employee or somebody on the public side or whatever it might have been. We've just got a great group of people that we work together so well, and I love it. So yes, after the election, we welcome people to come by and take a tour of our facility. We have a big facility now on US 441 right across from Waterman Hospital there in Tavares. That was a big change that we made when we came together. I was elected, and we had the central office in the basement of the round courthouse downtown Tavares, and the warehouse was over in Mount Dora on the south side of town. Well, now we've consolidated the entire operation. It
That's
works
probably
much better.
helped. Hey, I'm going to ask you to look into the camera
Sure.
here and tell people how to get in touch with you, how to get in touch with your office if they have any questions.
Well, the website that we mentioned earlier, lakevotes.com, is one way. Our phone is 352-343-9734, and our physical address is 1898 East Burley Boulevard in Tavares. We're diagonally across US 441 from Waterman Hospital. So come by and see us.
Alan, thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
Joe.
us. You've been
I
great.
appreciate it.
I want to again thank Alan Hayes for joining us today. Look, if you know anybody who should be a guest on the show, you know how to reach out to me. I'm pretty sure that information is coming up on the screen. If you know anybody that should be promoting their business on South Lake TV, would like to be a sponsor here on Joe Knows South Lake, we do have the premium sponsorships available still. Just have them reach out to me. I'd also like to remind you, like, love, and share. Go to our Facebook page, like our Facebook page, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can stay caught up in everything that the station and the show is doing. And finally, I'd like to remind you that there is greatness inside you. Dare to let that greatness out today. I'll see you tomorrow, and I love you. Bye-bye. My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake.